Okay, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Today we're gonna deal with the debugging in the Eclipse. So for debugging, we have a debug mode. So where we say run as, like we say run as, and we should also have the debug as, where it go to the debug perspective, and then if you look here, we have a run button, and we also have the debug button. Okay. You can say the test one is a debug as a Java application, or if you already done debugging, so it will come up here like mine case. So I have a simple thing. I've got two classes here. There's a test2 class and test1 class, and I'm creating a couple of objects of the test2 class here. So if I try to debug it, and what it will do is it is running it because I don't have a debug points here. So first of all, if I want to debug, I have to have a debug point wherein this will start. So void static void main, I am double clicking here to have a debug point, or you double click again to toggle it off. So now if I say debug, what it does first of thing is that it goes to debug mode. There's a debug perspective which comes up here. You can switch from Java to the debug perspective here, and if you look at it, it's immediately after this line. It's waiting for execution, and it's waiting there. And in this window here, we have got the threads basically which are getting executed. Okay, and on this side we got the variables. We may have other things also there, and so on. Now what I want to do is I want to proceed. For proceed, I need to have, we have three buttons here. One is the step return, one is step over, one is step into, and then there is also a resume button, stop button, and this is the step filters if you want to have filters and all. Especially these three are very important. So step into and step over will work here exactly same, but on this line, if I say here, for example, step over, for example, test2, what step over does is it will execute this. Maybe this is a method, and here it's definitely a class. It's a different class, right? Where when you try to create the T, this T is to be, you have to go to the test class, test2 class, and the constructor of that, and start executing this. And but if you say step over, means take it as a one line. So whatever happens in the creation of the T, you have to go to the next class, this constructor and all that. I don't worry about that. Just do it as a single line and go to the next line. This is what this will do. Okay. If I say step over, it will go here, right? So it has done what? It has taken this test2 T creation of object as a single line. And if you look at here, the variable side, we've got T also here coming up, which is initialized. Now I go to the step over again, it goes to this thing. Now if I do the step over again, it will go to this line, right? Like this. If I say step over, it's going to the next line. It's taking it as a single line. Okay. And here in the console, you see the constructor is being executed, everything is being done. Hi there, first of all, then in the text second, that is basically, if you go to the Java perspective in here, that's the constructor in the test second, which is saying, but in here it's executed as a single line. But instead, if I stop it and debug it again, what will happen here is, as a step over, because here you say step into or step over, it doesn't matter because it's not a function call or something. It has to go to the next line. So I say step over to go to it properly. Now here, if I step over, it will jump to the line number 10. So you should get the line number if you don't have, wherein you have Windows, then you have preferences, then you may have the general. In the general, we have the editors, we got text editors, and here we have show line number. You should check that. Okay. Now on line number 9, if I say step over, what it will do is to go to the next line, but I will not say step over, but rather I say step into, means go into that method or that constructor. What it do is step into, it jump to the constructor and start doing there. Now here you have to execute this line, so you say step over or step into is one of the same thing. So I should say properly step over. But now if you could see here, this was not enabled. Now this comes up enabled. Step return means, the step return means that you just get out of this method. So maybe it may have 10-20 lines, you have chucked 2 lines. Now you don't want to chuck other lines, so you say step return to go back to the where from it was called. So here I will say simply step over to go to the next line, step over, and comes back here. Now I say step over here or step into here, it doesn't matter, you go to the next line because we are finished here. And now after this I say step into or step over, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing. But if you look at it, step return is not enabled because we are not in a function where from we can return back. Now here if I say step over, it will do it as a single line and finish it up, okay? But I want to go into this T2 class by saying step into. Now it goes step into, okay? And the test second. So now this is having the test second here, the current object. Now if I press what's called step return, it comes back to the it executes that whatever there is, it executes that, it comes back here. It doesn't skip those lines, it executes those lines, but it doesn't go step by step into those the lines in a method. That's what step this return does. Okay. Okay. Now we have one more thing. For example, we have another breakpoint which is here. I put the breakpoint here. Double click on this. It's not getting visualized, but there is a breakpoint on this line. If I get a breakpoint here, okay, which is getting visualized. Okay. Now what I do is I start debugging. Okay, it's waiting for here. It will go to the lines, but I want to go directly to a particular second debug point. What I do is I will say resume. Then it will resume. It go to that line exactly. You can do it in another way also. For example, you want to go to the particular line. Let me stop it first and start debugging. Or you select a particular line. For example, I'm selecting this, or I put a cursor there and say run, and now there's something called run to line, okay, here, but you first put up the debug mode, which is here. Now I'm putting my cursor here and I say run to line, okay. Now to go exactly where you want to go, where your cursor is. Or there was one more thing, if I remember properly. Stop it. Now you want to go you select some line and say run, then you say, but you go, so you say like step into selection, but for that we need to have a debug mode going on again. We need to be in a debug mode so we can do those things. Now I'm here, for example, and I say run, and I say step into the selection. It goes there, one line above that. Okay, this is one more thing we can do. Next thing is this is to toggle between the filters. If you have filters put up, then you want to toggle those filters and not filters. Do you want those filters, or you want those filters? And now question is, now which is the important thing is about the variables. For example, I stop it and start debugging, and I'm putting up this T here. I highlight it and say right click, and I say, for example, inspect. Now T can be resolved to a variable because T is not assigned yet, but I go to the step over. Okay, now if you see here the T, this time around, if you say again inspect, again it can be resolved because we are not executed this. So if you say step or again, now T is basically resolved. So you say inspect it again. Now you see this is exactly some ID, and this is being initialized, as you can see here, also in the variable window. So you can put up any damn variable and just inspect it like this. Okay, this is the one more beautiful thing we have. Okay, now what else if you want some watch windows, some expressions to be seen?